Good evening and greetings, Council President, members of the Council body, administration, residents of this great city, and all those in attendance. I come before you to share the State of Glenarden address. The office of the mayor of the city of Glenarden is warmed by the deliberate work, time, commitment to the betterment of community. As the 18th mayor of the city of Glenarden, the city on the move, I am elated by the presentation of excellence and the persistency towards supporting our administration with new pay scale to preserve the staff, and to our community leaders who drive hard in the direction of community resiliency every day, supporting functioning homeowners associations and community recreational strength. This state of municipality address is a speech that is given once a year in accordance to the charter of the city of Glenarden, section 404, and the powers and duties appointed to the mayor, that the mayor shall report to the council and the condition of the municipal affairs and make such recommendations as he or she deems proper and fit for the good of public service as well as for the welfare of the city. I therefore recognize the growth in and around the city as a trumpet of strength, acknowledging the need, however, for infrastructure to equally maintain such a steady and rapid pace of development. The expansion within 3 new zones in and around Woodmore Town Center at Glenarden and several new fueling stations which bookend the city of Glenarden and propose an existence which is now helping to manage the once very dangerous public safety traffic concern caused there by the gas station at Costco. The growth of the city is fast-paced and it is tremendous. Housing projects in the Glenarden Hills under the executive of Primrose is deliberately creating an adaptation and an expansion for our senior living and affordable housing residents. 157 new units and building. The availability of more growth is coming to the city of Glenarden, and we are looking very good. Over the course of the last year, several road and sidewalk projects have successfully completed, and since the upgrade strategy, which I launched in fall of 2021, the repairs and the replacements of sidewalks have also included ADA compliant ramps. They have been supported with 58 new locations where the city now has a concentration of ADA ramps supporting our residents with mobility disabilities. This effort to craft a walkable city street and improve public safety is a notable effort. It has decreased the reporting in cracks, leading to the most successful compliancy project yet. We lifted, we leveled, we replaced sidewalks, we improved the functional use and greatly contributed to the evolving healthy transportation options for our citizens who choose now to walk even in the change of the seasons. We are therefore improving the mental and the physical health and the well-being of the city as a whole. President Joe Biden signed a $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan Act fund to aid public health and economic recovery from COVID-19 pandemic. In 2024, all funds provided to Glenarden must be drawn down. There have been numerous mitigation measures recommended and subsequently imposed by the city of Glenarden. And being it the desire of the mayor and the city council to right-size citizenry quality of life, followed up with the economic hardships and the widest extent possible to ensure that the American Rescue Plan funds had the availability as well backed by the city general funds pursuant to public use purposes, and that has left Glenarden in a highly capable standing. The recommendation, however, is that the evolution of all supported efforts be measured against the general fund in fiscal year 2025. This budget year, for any required ongoing requirements and commitments which might need to be properly budgeted for to be preserved. While I do note the use of the American Rescue Plan Act funds covered the operational deficits caused by COVID-19, we are considering these as temporary, and additional budget restraints and evolutions may be necessary. We desire to achieve and maintain the structural and community residential improvements, and this future budget has to be prudent in an eye towards a long-term financial stability. Sustainable operating performance for the city overall budget health needs to be meticulously maintained. Eyes on public safety primes with the reporting from Glenarden. As I do note, across the state, since June 30th of 2023, juvenile crime rates have skyrocketed, with the statewide dashboard highlighting an alarming increase in juvenile firearm possession, assault, first-degree murder, carjacking, and armed robbery, taking the center stage, as most juveniles are now being charged as adults in these instances. Glenarden drives hard by way of youth engagement and seeks to preserve through volunteer efforts at the local elementary and community schools. But equally, services are required because in the flagship shopping center, we have seen an increased requirement for vigilance, where there have been, unfortunately, an uptick in juvenile shoplifting over the holidays. We need to evolve to build the capacity, not just to solve the crime, but also to prevent them from happening. The recommendation is to the City Council and the Chief of Police, supporting the need for juvenile offender rehabilitation programs and training, weekend classes aimed at successfully preventing and actually obtaining clarity of the need, especially where sufficient needs exist for our youth. At present, there is seemingly a catch and release strategy across this county, which really doesn't reinforce good citizenry. Impact strategies are required. I recommend a Prince George's County collaborative effort geared at enforcement of the weekend juvenile offender rehabilitation program for youth, which not only helps and prevents, but motivates them towards positive alternatives to prevent the response of a more future aggressive means where the juvenile offender could be tried as an adult and found in an adult correctional facility. It's never too late to help our preteens, teens, and young adults learn the critical life managerial skills that are vital components. And this recommendation is to make a comparable target group, 10 to 19 and 20 to 29, irrespective of their demographics. This program will positively influence and help heal rejected, potentially depressed juvenile offenders and develop resiliency, mental health, and well-being for an interactive engagement covering topics such as anger management as well as conflict management, how to secure a job, and analyzing threatening approaches to more positively resolve the conflicts. Let's stand for our kids and build wraparound assistance services. Glenarden Housing Authority has opened the door to new grants and federal funding opportunities under the Housing and Urban Development. The forefront faces significant change opportunities, but also pressures. as the aging facilities places a detriment need on renovation. The growth of fiscal literacy courses by PNC Bank at Woodmore Town Center at Glenarden is a champion effort, which I've leveraged and corroborated with the commissioner staff as a necessary essential to build program to evolve from rent to mortgage to home ownership transitional training. This is necessary to dispel the generational inheritance of public housing and places a visionary plan towards home ownership within 1 to 2 years. New active roles of our commissioners are leading the front towards community dignity and residential council actions with purpose. Many residents, however, are worried about our economy and that the housing and urban development resources may not be as prevalently available as we'd hoped. With and whether it can also keep pace with the rising cost of the living conditions as Prince George's County successfully builds progressively towards the next century. I will acknowledge that the Glenarden Housing Authority was quite successful in preserving the flat rate methodology which is used across Prince George's County, which allows those contemporary statistics as well as conditions and amenities designed for the 60 low rent units which we have to preserve the 1 bedroom at $1,134 up to 5 bedrooms at $2,297. However, as it relates to Glenarden Housing Authority, HUD findings, observations, and recommendations assessing Glenarden Housing Authority's performance in its operation of the public housing program for the period of January the 1st through December the 31st, public housing only program, there have been notable requirements for updates and actions that are necessary to maintain compliancy. These must be addressed in the next 6 months. However, the list goes on with achievements in youth engagement, senior care, as we have 16 units, and cooperative readiness and volunteerism. These are required to ensure a way that policy and proper procedures can support all residents, and the need for housing and urban development training to properly ensure the team can most assuredly lead with excellence. Environmental management is in the spirit of cleaning up our communities. We must look also at the city's carbon footprint and what other ways we may help to reduce emissions and protect our environment. Federal grants can be used to enhance the quality of life and the local economy relative to green space revitalization strategies. This will help support childhood health, revitalizing the foundation, and building a true Main Street Glenarden to improve our environmental outcomes. I do acknowledge that Woodmore Town Center at Glenarden is equally under Urban Edge Properties looking at electronic charging stations. In local economic development, as a municipality, we are obligated to create a conducive environment for businesses to thrive. I truly believe that. I recommend that the municipality, in collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce and the Black Chamber of Commerce, Prince George's County, partner as allies with the private sector to recruit about 50 local vendors to attend and participate in economic leadership programs to build local businesses towards competitiveness over the national brands. While the business sector and the local banks especially have a Community Reinvestment Act requirement, officials, let's strive to see local business owners of Glenarden in the storefronts of the flagship shopping center at Woodmore Town Center of Glenarden. Relatively speaking, Aside from Woodmore Town Center at Glenarden, the shopping center, Glenarden does remain densely developed in wards 1 and 2, which part MD 704 Martin Luther King Highway, relative to taxable accessibility basis. The recommendation of the mayor is that we be more willing to help in this municipality's efforts to build an environment to foster tourism, economic tourism, which brings investors and investment for the city, as well as strives to incorporate the unincorporated areas in and around Glenarden, building a new residential base. The incorporated areas invest stability in the city's economic development, which will become especially beneficial in the continuous marks being made to recover from the pandemic. With ongoing pliability, consider an investment in locating various odd-sized lots across the city, which, as we have now seen in housing development on the Glenarden Parkway, a 3-story residential household construction can be placed on just a simple sliver of land. I express a concern for good governance, and it is necessary to revive in a way in which our city government operates, absence of what has been a persistent, gross politicking. All too commonplace verbal attacks have been coming from our city council against the mayor, and it saddened me to say that attacks also have come against citizens who voiced objection against legislation, who also have volunteered their time and services for the good of the residents of the city of Glenarden. This really needs to stop. None of these uncultural attacks have added value to the city's image, nor equitably represented the heart of the city, which has made a staple vote in 2021 to present elected body in full, a 2-house elected body, not a totalitarian one-party system, but a 2-chamber government was elected. The mass push towards the Zoom lunch during COVID-19 has placed a matter of concern because it has left a consistent of comfortability, which has now superseded our residents' presence in meetings. And this is not a positive thing. I do expressly cite a keen eye which needs to be placed on the encouragement of the public's participation and the emphasis on the transparency needed for truthful awareness, not one-sided, but full reporting. I do want to give great credit to the quarterly newsletter. I am happy to report has skyrocketed community engagement. The major impact in the way that it fulfills the investment of effort of communication is phenomenal. A hearty congratulations equally goes out, and I just want to take the moment to say, for Glenarden Woods Elementary School, Principal Bowden, students, and staff, they are the state of Maryland's #1 elementary school. Congratulations, for you have now impacted and changed lives and made a staple out of the city of Glenarden for education. We partner with nonprofits. I commend Compact Community Impact Sports. I commend the local, the county, and the state level municipality supporters. And I thank you all for your unwavering dedication for positive community impacts that lead to residential growth here in the city of Glenarden. Concerning special programs, I would like to make this recommendation that every year the municipality makes provision for special programs to provide for the need and the interests of special groups within our community. This past November, Mayor launched the Forever Grand Travelers of Glenarden. It was a mayoral major breakthrough. This program addressed the sociability and the vibrancy and gathering together for travel for our residents of 60 plus years old. November 30th inaugural trip took us to the Harriet Tubman Museum. It launched the first of what will become quarterly adventurous explorative opportunities to see this beautiful state of Maryland. I am ever grateful for the efforts and the support of the Maryland Park and Planning, the Maryland State Parks, who have driven home the importance of community in making new memories and improving the quality of life for our seniors to age in place. The next trips that are set for 2024 include a just-in-time Easter shopping trip to the outlet centers, March 14th, followed by 3 more exciting adventures. Save the date, June 20th, October 17th, December 13th as well. Residents, we are making strides in our senior citizen foundational programs to enlighten our golden residents as they age in place equally. We acknowledge from the city's work, the impending work in the nutritional center to upgrade and place multifaceted environment for our seniors to game, network, and have social emphasis. The coordination of the youth sports programs that are associated with the Glenarden Boys and Girls Club, the Glenarden Track and Field Team. Citizens, we are looking forward to also seeing you at public events like the 2nd Annual Creative Youth Arts Summit and Conference. This will be held February the 3rd at the Glenarden Community Center from 10 to 2. I'm pressing hard as a mayor and this city as a whole in capturing and highlighting the interests of our youth and our young adults. I am seeing the fruits of our labors, and I can tell you that the mentors, the resources, the inspiration has reinstalled hope. I recommend that in fiscal year 2025, that the upcoming budget create opportunities for our young people to be ready for the workforce through paid apprenticeship programs with the city administrative departments. I recommend no more than 20 hours every 2 weeks, but this will aid in the recruitment of in-place efforts where we develop from the residents within our community. This is how we shape a better future and continue to grow municipality leadership. We will have our successors. I place an eminent emphasis on the following needs: the coordination of support programs for residents living with disabilities, and as a matter of giving back, the coordination of city presence and cooperative support with the American Legion, Glenarden, Post 275. This is a community effort. We support our nation. We support our nation heroes. We will thrive if we support our veterans. I have had the honor of engaging our county, our state, municipality, elected officials as well. Recently, this past week, spoken to Governor Westmore on a one-on-one phone call as we discussed the priorities that I have laid out this evening, to include expanding a family-centric fun adventure theme in our city, entertainment beyond Six Flags and Dave & Buster's. We are going to expand family fun. We will build a landscape in Prince George's, and I have even placed a word of consideration with Urban Edge Properties, the new owners of Woodmore Town Center at Glenarden, to grow towards this family-centric environment at Woodmore Town Center at Glenarden Shopping Center. This will be a holistic approach to grow our community's tissue. We are providing our families new memories. Again, I send you glad salutations from the office of the mayor. In closing, as we continue to move the mission forward, we are grateful for the efforts of all who have laid the foundation in this administration as well to build a greater Glenarden, a city on the move. I'm Mayor Kashina A. Cross, and at the time, I will take your questions. Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. Relative to affordable housing, there is a plan to expand, and we've actually applied for and received a grant that we can utilize. The City of the Glenarden Council has also put $60,000 towards the American Rescue Plan money to assist in the revitalization plan for the 60 units. Now, what's required? This commissioner team, as well, I would say, coupled with the residential council and Mr. Fuller, who is the new director of the Housing Authority, must make a plan of addressing which units need to be addressed immediately. At present, we do have 2 commissioners who have resigned over the Christmas holiday, which then puts us in a place where we have to fill additional requirements relative to the commissioner staff. So those will be presented in the next month so that we can get ourselves right-sized with the commissioner staff. The commissioner staff that's on board right now is already looking and working with the Director Fuller to pull together a strategy to address the diminished units that have, no kidding, need to been addressed over 15 years ago. So I'm honored to say that the grant that was applied for needs to be just called on. The monies that have been given out of the American Rescue Plan needs to be just obligated. So we are working and participating, being active participants in the Housing Authority's meetings to ensure that this money does not go unappropriated. Now, the question is very key in that the city has no authority in the Housing Authority's business. The one thing by charter we can do is request the books. And outside of that, then we encourage good governance and execution. Thank you for your question. Are there any other questions? Okay. Yes, ma'am. So the question was relative to the youth programming, the weekend programming for rehabilitation of our youth, juveniles, offenders. We do not have programming in the city. And that has been a concern, particularly since this summer. And we have seen a spike. And the concern really is idle hands or just a playground. So we need to build programming that allows our youth, support programming. That's why my special programs, Glenarden Boys and Girls Club, the Track Club, and other programs that are helping children. I know the veterans are really big with the Boys and Girls State. So we need to build those programmings in and appropriate the budget in FY25 that will ensure that we can sustain them. I know we have the rec center, the Glenarden Community Center, and Sam Blige over there and Mr. Tiggle do a phenomenal job with the Maryland Park and Planning to try and keep the rec center open, basketball, open court press, even senior card night, trying to build that community flavor. But the truth is, they only have a limited staff. And I have also spoken with the county to ensure that they understand that places like the rec center need to be fully staffed. If you go in there, you need volunteers. You need people that will help build programs in the rec center. That is a need. Resources, manpower is a big need, and I will continue to push for that. Well, if there are no more questions, I thank you so much. I will cede back some time for you. Thank you again for hearing the Glenarden State address. I really want you to acknowledge and hear from me that we're in a good place. We're looking good. We're developing good, infrastructure-wise, particularly when we talk about the education areas. Charles Flowers High School is overrun. So relative to infrastructure, we need to build up Largo High School. We even need to think about the old Landover Mall environment. Is it time for a high school campus? Is it time for us to build something where we're not stacking our children, and not only that, but causing them to have trouble with learning because there's 27 plus to one teacher? I mean, these are the concerns that we have. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and spending a little time with the city of Glenarden. I'm Mayor Kashina A. Cross. This has been the 2024 State of Glenarden Address. Have a wonderful evening and Happy New Year.